انطلقوا وابحثوا عن العلم في كل مكان، وانشروا ما تعلمتم بين قومكم.
Many civilizations have affected the world in which we live. During the Middle Ages, when Europe was in its darkest period, Arabic science and culture flourished. For hundreds of years, they were the developed nation and held the keys to progress. The growth of this phenomenon was spurred on by clergy, kings and scholars, and it was a time of influence, power and prestige. People were told, go and learn from the world and put into practice what is good for the people. And so they did, with a vigour and a conscience, inventing, developing and astounding the world with their discoveries. This was the golden era of the Arabs, and it was to spread across the known world, influencing the very heart of Europe. Without the Arabs, European science and philosophy would not have developed as it did. They mapped the celestial globes and, for good measure, devised the concept of the centre of gravity. They developed algebra and the decimal point, as well as the zero used in modern mathematics. The Arabs took a holistic approach to medicine and built advanced medical clinics and hospitals in Baghdad and Cairo. The Arabs initiated studies of the blood and its circulation in the body, and probed the anatomy of the eye. And this is only a small measure of their discoveries, which are still being used today for the benefit of all humanity. Literature flourished during this golden era, and many of today's popular books like Man of La Mancha and stories from 1001 Nights such as Aladdin's Lamp and Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet owe their origins to Arabic literature. Arabic words became common to English. Words like algebra, caliber, hazard, magazine, orange, racket, and even a word like checkmate is Arabic. A new influence was to begin around the middle of the 19th century, with the migration of Arabic people who were mainly Lebanese. Many, believing they were on board ships bound for Brazil or America, were in fact Australia bound, where they were offloaded by some unscrupulous ship's agents who dropped them off where it suited them. Arabic families used their trading skills to good purpose and soon built stores, businesses and a thriving interstate trade. Some became merchants and retailers, mainly in the clothing trade, and many ventured into the goldfields where they struck it rich. Others became hawkers and peddled their wares across the new nation. These new immigrants helped to pioneer Australia through their hard work and sheer tenacity. Australian society respected the talents and community spirit these people displayed. Before and during the First World War, the Lebanese were classified as enemy aliens because they were considered to be Turkish subjects. Ironically, while their parents were reporting weekly to police stations, some second-generation Lebanese Australians were fighting with the Australian Imperial Army against the Turks. Through this struggle, the Lebanese held their heads up high and went about their lives, integrating and building up their families. Their courage and loyalty shone on the battlefields of France and in the trenches of Gallipoli. A generation later, They were fighting in the war against the Nazis and in the jungles of New Guinea. Brave young men and women also entered the campaign in Vietnam at Phuoc Toi and Da Nang. Many laid down their lives for their country. While the men were away at war, many of the women worked in munitions and clothing factories. After the war, the Lebanese continued to prosper as new immigrants arrived. They became a respectable middle class and a business lobby with access to government. This influence, however, was to change with the arrival of immigrants from war-torn Lebanon. These people had suffered hardships and deprivation, and Australia was seen as a land of promise. Many of these new arrivals still face prejudice from a small minority of Australians, but they are determined to seek a better life despite these minor setbacks. Settlers have come from over 20 Arabic countries, from as far away as Morocco, and in greater numbers from Egypt, Syria and Iraq. There are now up to 6 generations of families living in Australia. More than 350,000 people of Arabic origin are part of the fabric of Australian life at all levels of society. Some are skilled tradespeople, while others have entered the public service, represented Parliament, and have held government portfolios. Arabic families are known for their hospitality, and guests are usually greeted with ahlan wa sahlan, which means feel at home as part of our family. They have a friendly tradition of honouring visitors and sharing food.
To us Lebanese, hospitality is part of our culture. The main reason of the meza idea is not to just sit down and fill our stomach. It's also to fill our eyes, sit down, enjoy the company and enjoy the whole setting, not just for ourselves, but enjoy it with our friends, basically.
Arabic bread is becoming very popular. It's flat, lightweight, and great for picking up dips.
I saw some Lebanese lady at the house, they're making bread at their home. So to sell it for little shops and to eat it for their family. So idea came to myself. I said, why I didn't make this bread here? And we started making the bread ourselves. We opened a little bakery and we started making this bread. When we started, it was very hard for us, to deliver bread, to make the Australian people understand about the bread, or Italian people and Greek people. The first 5-6 years we started with the Lebanese and Arab people. Now we deliver for all big stores like Sci-Fi, Coles, Franklin, all shops, home delivery. Because this business is family business, and I have 7 children. They all help us, they all work in the bakery as a family business. For that, we're going well, we're going strong.
If it wasn't for our children, we wouldn't have been here.
Yeah.
And plus, Maurice and myself, we built the business up.
Arabic Australians have introduced new varieties of vegetables and fruit to Australian markets. Foods like Lebanese cucumber, eggplant and cracked wheat. Arabic food is now enjoyed at banquets in the best of places. Apart from the culinary delights, Arabic people have brought with them their language. Dr. Narzeh Mirza, who is an Arabic language scholar and honorary consul for Syria, believes that Arabic is not only a trading language, but one which is both poetic and a literary standard.
We are talking about Arabic as inspiring poetry, as people expressing themselves in a beautiful language in the same way great painters express themselves in their painting. In addition to that, the more tangible importance of Arabic, it is the language of people who are playing an important role in the world, especially trade, politics, and I mean by that people living in West Asia, from North Africa, from Morocco to the Gulf, to Qatar, to Dhahran, to Saudi Arabia, to all these countries with which Australia has got excellent relation in business. And to know their language, really, is knowing the people. And once they hear you just saying one word in Arabic, you have gained their hearts.
If you happen to know the name of that animal in Arabic, put your hand up, don't
There'll be
chat.
over 100 institutions where Arabic is being taught. Not only Arabic, but the history, the thought and culture of the people speaking Arabic. Yes, the message that I give to the Arab parents, that they should make their children learn Arabic not by imposing their ideas on them. And I do advise the parents to be flexible, to appreciate the fact that their children would like to be identified with the new country, Australia. If you try to react, trying to protect your children from what you call being lost in this society, then you get the counterproductive reaction, and you will alienate. In fact, there'll be an estrangement of the children in their own home. While if you do tell them it's wonderful to be in Australia, but at the same time remember your beautiful language, you will gain them, and eventually you'll find more of your children and their children turning to Arabic. And here again, I would like to remind everybody to read the Prophet by Gibran Khalil Gibran, when he said, "Your children are not your children, they are the children of life. You may give them your love, but not your ideas."
Professor Hatem Salem, who is considered to be Australia's foremost expert on blood disorders, is also a Fellow of the Royal Colleges of London and Melbourne. He is recognised throughout the world for his research into thrombosis and is helping to fight a disorder that is afflicting millions. A discovery by Professor Salem and his team could end that suffering.
Well, our research essentially concentrates on studies of blood disorders and the way blood clots. And these are very important groups of disorders that are responsible for a very large number of people dying every year. I mean, it's estimated that 55% of people in Western society will die from a thrombosis-related problem. The reason this happens is because a clot forms in an artery and results in a clinical disorder such as a heart attack, a stroke, or a clot in the leg which can then migrate to the lung. During the course of our work, we have helped many patients in trying to work out exactly what went wrong with them by taking their blood and studying in the laboratory. This has allowed us to devise some treatment approaches that essentially saved their lives. Besides this, I mean, I'm a family person. I'm happily married and I've got 3 children. We are all Australians and we love this country. We have been here 16 years now, and we're very much enjoying the people and life in Australia. However, I always know that I'm Egyptian and my roots are in Egypt and very much in Iraq, where I studied my medicine initially. I love the Egyptian people and Iraqi people. I have very many friends in both countries, and I'm very much looking forward to the day where I can take my family and show them where I was born and where I studied medicine, and to relive some of my old memories.
While many Arabic Australians are involved with social and medical endeavour, others are contributing in commerce, industry and trade. Quietly behind the scenes, these people are earning export dollars and enhancing Australia's economic position, which is bringing foreign currency into the country and helping to offset the balance of trade figures. Motor vehicles also play a vital part in that trade.
Ford Australia is emerging from a very tough period, not unlike many of the other manufacturing industries in Australia, in a more healthy position. About 20% of Ford of Australia's revenues are now earned in the world markets by exporting. The efficiency of our operations has improved considerably. The people strength in terms of people skills, the development of people, the training agendas that we have, the cooperation with the unions, All of these things are helping to make Ford of Australia stronger now and building for the future. Being an Australian of Lebanese background really gives you, in my mind, an opportunity to be a little more flexible with other cultures. We grew up in it as kids. We understood what multicultural environments can mean and can contribute. I can tell you firsthand that Australia is the best country in the world to raise a family, to develop your career, to reach your professional objectives. I'm emotional about that. I feel strongly about being Australian first, but that doesn't mean that you deny your background. It means that your background, whether it's Irish, Vietnamese, Chinese, whatever it is, you use that background to support your belief and strength as an Australian first.
Bassam Shomali manufactures paint which exceeds environmental demands because it's clean, protects the environment and does away with waste.
I've always had a love for chemistry and science, and I've always had a love for nature. And I felt we're also part of nature, and we have the brain that we can contribute working with nature itself. So we've launched a product out called One Core Timber and Fence Finish, and that's basically for your fences, pergolas, rough sawn timbers, and so on. There's approximately 180 million litres of waste oil in Australia alone. You can see the way it is contaminated. It goes through a process and it gets re-refined back to pure oils. There's approximately now 1 million litres back into the marketplace as engine oil. What we do is one of our patent inventions is we emulsify the product with water, and then we mix it into such as whites, which you can paint ceilings and walls, and other colors, fun colors, greens, and then it shows you how beautiful it goes on. I have a very long vision with this project. I like to see this product throughout the world because of the waste minimization, of the recycling issues, and naturally environmental issues. And I'd like to keep it as an asset for Australia. I'm Palestinian, born in Bethlehem. I arrived about 1962 to Australia. Australia took me in. I see Australia adopted me. It has said to me, you are welcome to come to this country. You can eat off my fruits. You can do whatever you like. Be free. Please obey my laws. And on top of that, it's the mother of my children. For that, I'd like to give something back to Australia. I'd like to give it something that I have, which is me, whatever I can produce, whatever I can help in other ways, because it's going to look after my children.
Australians of Arabic origin are switching to sell Australian produce back to the Middle East. Sheep has always been a most important commodity for Australia, and one quiet achiever is helping to maintain that tradition. His name is Rashid Aziz, and he is an experienced trader exporting to over 60 countries with a turnover in excess of $50 million a year.
My story is quite simple, actually. I arrived here in 1968. I'm a trained geologist, science degree. I worked as a geologist in Western Australia for the first 4 years. Then I got into business. Been exporting meat. This product here is our own production from our abattoir at Mount Gambier in South Australia. We export it to just about every country in the world. We have 60 countries we export to. We build up a good name because of reliability and quality. We're quite happy with the progress of our meat business. We have #1 brand in South Africa, Middle East, Iran, Papua New Guinea, even in Canada and America and Japan. When I first started in this business, I used to travel quite a bit to the Middle East and Singapore, Malaysia, those places. Should be away about 1/3 of my time. My wife has been a great lady, actually, with her support. She's Egyptian. She worked with me in the office. She's the director in the company. I have 3 children. My son is in 4th year medicine. My daughter is doing business study and Arabic art degree, double degree. And I have a little daughter, which is only 4 years old. She's beautiful. The charm of my life.
The fleece from the backs of sheep offer a fine quality of texture, and all it takes are the right creative impulses to design. And who would know more about clothes design than Australia's international fashion guru, Naji Imam?
I suppose designing, it's one either have it or doesn't have it. You know, it's within me. I've always loved clothes and love designing and love putting colors together and producing beautiful garments. It's my upbringing with my parents. We had a very good life in Africa, a typical colonial kind of life, where one always dressed for dinner and dressed out and so on. So that brings up an aspiration of beautiful things and an admiration for it. So I started designing actually without any experience, just with paper and pen and off I go, and fortunately it worked. The design ability and my sense of colors are also an inspiration, which is perhaps part of my background, being an Arab, a Lebanese, with a mixture of the African culture coupled with an Australian flavor. Put the whole 3 together, you become an international. Colors out of Africa, colors out of the Middle East, the beautiful desert, sandy colors, with the Australian way of life, outdoor living, our beautiful country with the greens and the waters. And it's a lovely country we live in here. So all that makes a tremendous result.
Arabic Australians are taking their place alongside other great Australians here and overseas. Some will go to great lengths to make that happen. Carmen Khalil is an international publisher and head of one of the world's largest publishing houses, Chatto & Windus. There have been other successful publishers and writers who have made Australia their home. David Malouf is an internationally recognised author and has received many distinguished literary awards, including the Miles Franklin Award. He is considered to be Australia's foremost novelist at this time and is contributing a great deal of writer's pain for the pleasure of readers.
If I'm writing about almost any happening of this century, out of the world of my mother or my father's childhood as well as my own, I feel I have access through the senses and the feelings to the real details of it. It is part of my experience, even though some of it took place before I was born.
God's gift to the world, the great Australian novel.
Jad El Hajj's book, The Green and the Dry, which was published in Melbourne, is the only Arabic book that has received Australia's coveted Literary Council publishing grant for an outstanding novel.
I came to Australia in 1985 with my family. I was living in Europe and working there as a journalist and writer. And I decided to immigrate and come here because I thought Australia is a new coming country. It has this potential of people living together from different cultures, and it has this youth in it. And so I thought maybe I'll stay here and make it, because of the war in my country and everything, make it an alternative homeland for my kids. The Green and the Dry itself is a novel in 3 parts. It speaks about shifting from one side of the world to another, and why. And it speaks about the war itself and the horrors of the war, and trying in it in this novel to tell people, to tell not only my people, but everyone, that no matter what you do, war, there is not one good war. There is no good wars. All wars are bad. Some try to put some kind of aura around the war, say this is a holy war. There is no holy wars. Wars are damned. Wars are bad for you. So this example and the suffering of my people in Lebanon, I'm trying to bring it, put it in this novel and bring it to the Australian reader, because the novel is being translated into English and it will be published next year, hopefully here, to say that be careful, never let yourself slip into the horrors of civil wars. Australia was good for me. It was secure, it was quiet, which is very important for a writer to have a quiet peace of mind, and it is good for my children. It's giving them home, it's giving them a homeland, so it's giving them an identity, a future, and it would be good, I hope, for my retiring.
The arts could not be represented without the painting, the music, the dance and the sculpture. One example of the new genre of Australian artists is the young and talented architect cum sculptor Caroline Ishak. She is penetrating a narrow yet exciting field with figures of the female body that she designs and sculpts.
The whole intention of the sculpture to begin with, or to sculpt in the first place, is to see people and their reaction towards the stone. That to me is the most important thing. Not the fact that you sell or how much money you get out of it at the end of the day. What is more important is the reaction. The first exhibition that I had, which was at the Reserve Bank of Australia, during that exhibition one lady came up to me and she said, look, I don't know how at this age you could capture a feeling in these stones. Where have you been and what have you done? And I explained to her that my inspiration was drawn from Egypt itself. And she said to me that she would like to actually go up and touch these sculptures. Of course, the sculptures were roped, but I took her by the hand and I said, well, come with me and go ahead and touch what you like. Taken back by this, I still led her to it, and she put her hand on it, and when she did, there was a relief, there was some kind of satisfaction, and that to me put a smile on my face, of course, because that was my whole intention to begin with. Being made in Egypt, of course, but Australian born, there's a lot of influences from Egypt. I've travelled extensively to Egypt, and there's a lot of inspiration gained from the type of people that the Egyptians are. They're very giving, they are very well renowned for their hospitality, and that's why the pieces are always giving. So if you can see that sculpture over there, she's holding a plate. There's a sign of giving. A lot of people ask me why she doesn't have a face. And the reason for that is that if you take a face away from a sculpture, you are making the person look a lot harder to see what the sculpture is trying to communicate. If we were to put eyes and nose and mouth, we understand it straight away and we let go of the body. So I'm trying to get the onlooker to communicate to the sculptures to try and work out what is really going on. Down here, this is called Bent Watef, which if you translated that in English means mother, daughter and child. And each one of these is a different size, and they are all at a table having a conversation, which is something very characteristic of Egyptian women, something that I saw a lot in Egypt and brought that image home with me. And over time, I start to create an idea, how can I translate that through stone, but perhaps in not such an obvious way, such as straight eyes, nose, fingers, and body-wise. So that's where this piece came from. We have more freedom here in Australia, or through my eyes we at least do, and in terms of Egypt, it's more constricted. There's a lot more hard-working facade of people, if you like, and what I would do is when I come to Australia to work up the sculptures, I bring images. It's not so much knowledge, it's so much images of what I see. So for example, you'd never see a naked woman or a woman wearing, just bare essentials in Egypt. So that's perhaps where this sculpture would come in. She's naked, she's more free. That's where I guess the Australianness would come into it.
Anyone else with the camera on? Where are you from?
What do you think of the Arabic festival?
It's wonderful.
Why is it wonderful?
Because people are so friendly and you can't even speak their language.
I love it because there is a different. The people come from everywhere, like Lebanon and all the other countries.
So, what country are you from originally?
Moroccan.
How do you like the festival here?
Oh, it's very good.
I've had a great time. I've really enjoyed the food and the coffee, and it's been interesting to see some of the art.
Arabs are passionate about the arts. They love to showcase their heritage, making it part of their Australian art. At the Arabic Festival, or Maharajan as it is known, there was plenty of opportunity to display their art, music and dance. Everybody loves a celebration, and this was the Arabic Australian way of showing a window to the culture of their birthplace. But at the end of the day, all can see the night descending. Even the children look for a place to rest. Where is my family? Arabic Australians are also keen on sport. Heroes of the past century include notable footballers such as Dick Abacare, who played for North Melbourne, Phil Manasseh, who played with Collingwood. Other distinguished sportspersons would have to include Australia's rugby league legend Ben Elias and champion weightlifter Joseph Wakim, who won silver in the 1982 Commonwealth Games. There was Eddie Scarf, who competed for Australia in wrestling in the 1932 and 1936 Olympics.
Hannah. Oh, that's a clever mark. He'll run away from Manson. James
Mil Hannah came from Lebanon when he was 6 years old. He loves Australian rules football and was brought up in the Melbourne suburb of Carlton, where he regularly barracked for his neighbourhood team, never dreaming that one day he would be one of their star players.
You know, I really take pride in my background. You know, I still speak Arabic at home, and you know, I still get a lot of Arabic friends and cousins come over. You know, the Lebanese way I think is fantastic. I love the food, I love the way of life and everything. But I've been quite lucky because I've been able to mix the two together quite successfully. I've got a lot of good Australian friends and Italian friends or whatever, and I think probably in some ways it has helped me being Lebanese. I think other things like growing up as a young kid, having a certain amount of football ability does assist you mixing up with the rest of the population, I think, because they look upon you and they have some sort of respect rather than look and say, oh, you know, you're a Lebanese or you're an Italian or so. So that really helped me. It may have been a different story, I suppose, if I wasn't successful in football.
Over the top now, it comes out from Robertson to Hannah.
I used to occasionally watch Carlton on TV because I was in the area and most of the kids in the area followed Carlton. So I always had this sort of long lived dream to play for Carlton one day. It was something that I thought, oh, well, it'd probably never happen to me, but there's no harm in dreaming about it, I suppose. As I got a little bit older, my dad would occasionally let me go and watch the games, and you know, come in here and I can sort of still picture over there where I used to sit and stand and watch the game, and it used to give me a real buzz seeing the players, particularly at the time Carlton was very successful and used to win a lot of games. And I think from there I sort of just started really working on my game, and every opportune time I had I'd be down the local park hoping one day someone would spot me and invite me over to Carlton, which did eventuate.
High ball towards centre half forward. Courage, Miller, Hannah, take your mark and take your clap.
You know, Carlton's a great club, and truly believe that, you know, footy itself is probably one of the greatest sports in the world.
The winner of the gold medal is Robert Cabas, representing Australia.
Australians were also proud of hero Robert Cabas when he took out gold at the Commonwealth Games in 1978 and 1982. He was to repeat his success by winning silver at the Los Angeles Olympics and World Championships in 1984. Robert has a new career as an illustrator, and his work can be seen in major national newspapers and magazines.
I was born in Egypt, in Alexandria, and I came to Australia with my parents and my only brother in 1966. And I remember the first couple of months were a little bit frustrating and a little bit embarrassing because I couldn't speak the language. And I was 11 years old, so I was at a stage where you needed to communicate, and I knew I wasn't stupid, but you just felt a little bit aside. But I don't remember them as being sort of horrible months, because luckily I sat next to a French-speaking student, so we could communicate in some way, and he was translating for me. I could speak French. By the end of that year, I could sit in with the normal class, and I'd already picked up the language, which I found was fairly easy to pick up. I ran into a couple of older students who were doing weightlifting, which I'd had a long time interest in because my father and my uncles had practiced weightlifting in Egypt. I enjoyed the sport, so I was training not because I had to, but because I enjoyed what I was doing. And I wasn't limited to the sport of weightlifting. I also joined in with the other guys with the usual football. I was going to say cricket, but I never played cricket at school. As someone coming from Egypt, cricket was a bit hard to get a grasp of. I enjoyed it after I left school, strangely enough. But I found weightlifting was the sport that I was good at. I worked my way through the different levels until 1975. I won my first national Australian title, and I was selected to go to the World Championships. The next big one for us here in Australia, of course, is the Commonwealth Games, and my first one was in 1978 at Edmonton in Canada. Luckily everything clicked on the night, and I won the gold medal there.
Here's the man now, Robert Cabas, going for 190, which would give him the lead back in the competition.
With the Brisbane Commonwealth Games, I felt really confident, because it doesn't matter how motivated you are or how much you want to win. Unless you compete knowing that you've done your homework and that you're really well prepared, you can't really approach it with any confidence.
Attempt at 190. Possible gold medal lift. He has one lift to come after this, as does Peter Pinsent of England. Good extension. Yes, he's got it up. And you can jerk it, Robert. Come on, Robert Cabas. And he gets it up over the head. He's got the lead of the competition. He's only got a steady. He gets the down.
With the hometown support and this good preparation, I was lucky enough to win another gold medal. Los Angeles proved probably for me to be the pinnacle of my career. And I think every athlete, whether you win a gold, silver or a bronze, wants to know that they did their best when it counted at the most important occasion. And for me that was probably just as fulfilling as winning the silver medal, was the fact that I'd achieved my personal best.
He's challenging Isaoka of Japan for the silver medal now.
This is also a new Australian record, by the way. The old record is held by Robert at 191 kilograms. This is 192.5.
This has been a sensational performance by Robert Cabas. He's chosen his weights carefully. It's been a battle of strength as well as a battle of tactics here. And Cabas is winning on both fronts at the moment.
Oh, great lift.
A sensational lift by Robert Cabas. Australia's first weightlifting medal since 1952. The competition is still alive, but no one could possibly take that away from him now.
It's hard to try and sort of recapture that feeling, because it's just a mixture of lights and sounds, and it just seems to all go in a blur. And if you couldn't refer back to videotapes or newsreels or whatever, it'd really be just a blur. As I said, you couldn't remember exactly what happened.
Australia's first weightlifting medal since 1952. The competition is still alive, but no one could possibly take that away from him now.
Like the ancients of old, Arabic Australians care for and nurture their environment with a sense of pride and achievement. As a group of many peoples, they are helping to build Australia and Australia's reputation overseas. All Australians share in their heritage and can make claim to worthwhile contributions. The list is endless and unity is being achieved through diversity. But the common interest remains. Families struggle to achieve a better life for themselves and an even better one for their children. This film presents a snapshot of some areas of contribution. As each new wave of immigrants arrives from different countries and under different circumstances, we can expect them to add to these contributions. After they settle and provide for their families, their descendants in the next generation will make even greater contributions to Australia as Australians.